This here is color breathing. And so what we do is this is a remake of a client. And so what we do is we have our clients to write down what emotions that they're having at the moment. And then we have them write down what do they want to experience. So this particular client was feeling anxious, sad, and overwhelmed, and they wanted to experience calmness, peace, and confidence. And we have them to just identify color, whatever color they choose, to identify, to represent the feeling that they're having. And then we do some deep breathing with them. So this particular client, we breathe in orange for calmness, blow out yellow for anxiety. Breathe in orange for calmness, blow out yellow for anxiety. And just back and forth, breathe in green for peace, blow out blue for sadness. Just back and forth, back and forth. And so as you can see in the middle picture, the first part that they colored, there's a lot of anxiety in the chest, neck, and top of the head, and a lot of sadness in the arms, and a lot of feeling overwhelmedness in their legs, their feet, and the bottom part of their face. And so after this particular activity, we see that it's changed. So the sadness that was in their arms and hands is now only in their hands. The anxiety is now only in the bottom part of their face. The calmness is now on their chest. They have peace in their legs. And so when I first started out in the field, I was working with little ones, and I used to do this one with children all the time. And I slowly transitioned to work with adults, and I did this for one of my adults, and she loved it. So this can work for adults as well. Color breathing. And so next one is the lost timeline. So the lost timeline, or sometimes people will call it the life timeline. But basically what we do is we have our clients to document life experiences. So these are happy experiences, sad experiences, traumatic experiences. These are life-changing moments. And on the top of the horizontal line are the happy moments. And then the bottom of the horizontal line are the traumatic moments, the grief-filled moments. And so what we do, it helps us as clinicians to get a better idea of our clients, what they've experienced, and also shows resiliency as well. Because sometimes we'll have clients coming in saying all hope is lost. I don't feel that there's any hope. And reminding them of what they have gone through and where they are now. So resiliency can be very helpful for a lot of our clients. Just recognizing their resiliency can go a long way. And then this next one's containment. And so what we do is we have our clients to imagine any size, any shape, type of container. It can be any color that they want. And so what they do is they put all distressing thoughts and emotions into this container. And it's their choice when they want to open the container up. You can open up the container only in session when we're together. You can open it up in your safe space at home. It's purely up to you. And so this is an example of, or this is a way we can help our clients who might feel out of control when it comes to emotions, to be able to give them this tool to help them to feel a little bit more in control of, I decide when I'm going to address which emotions. And that can go a long way for clients, especially after a major loss. That can really go a long way. Next is guilt work. And so when it comes to guilt work, it's about normalizing. Again, normalizing does not mean we agree. It just means we are seeing our clients for what they're experiencing. And we're letting them know, I see you and I hear you. And so when it comes to guilt work, there's many different tools that we can utilize. This is just a few. So one is an apology letter or a goodbye letter can go a long way. Letter from the deceased. So when it comes to this one, it's very important for us as clinicians to know the person who's died. Because whenever the person writes this letter, the person who's died, their voice is going to come out in the letter. So for example, the young lady I was sharing with just a moment ago whose mother had died and her mother was abusive, I would not do this activity with her. Because when she writes this letter from her mom's abusive voice is going to come out in that letter. And that's what we don't want to happen. And so there's other clients that I've had whose family members have died and they were healthy individuals. They were individuals who were loving and supportive. And when I had them do this homework assignment, it helped them to alleviate some of the guilt because they realized, what, there really isn't much of a reason for me to feel guilty. So hearing their loved one say, this is not your fault, or there's no reason to feel guilty, helps heal in a lot of different ways. The next one is identifying connections with the person. Yeah. Sometimes it's about helping our clients identify why do they feel guilty. And for some clients, they feel guilty because they feel that that's the only way to keep that person alive, is to feel guilty. And so sometimes it's about helping our clients to transition to identifying what are some other ways we can keep them alive? What are some other ways we can stay connected to them? What are some of the positive ways we can stay connected to them? Another thing that could be helpful is visualizing. Um, Guided meditations of letting go of guilt can go a long way as well. Over here to the right, we see an example. This is actually comes from TFCBT, trauma focused cognitive behavioral therapy. The concept is called the responsibility pie chart. And so when it comes to TFCBT, they encourage moving away from fault to responsibility. What were the things, what were the items, what are the factors that are responsible for what happened? And so this is just an example. An individual, um, a little one, I was working with, dad had died in a vehicle accident. And he, as most little ones, preteens, they will interject themselves into the storyline, saying, man, if I was there, I could have stopped it from happening. So it's my fault. And that's what he was doing. He was interjecting himself into the storyline, saying, if I had just been in the car with my dad or in the truck with my dad, I could have said, hey, dad, look out. The lights turned green, the light turned red. And I could have saved him and he could still be alive. And so he put himself in blue, majority of the pie. And the driver who actually hit his dad, he put a smaller sliver. And so we began to talk about it. Why did you put yourself in blue so much? What is the reason why you felt you were mostly responsible? What are some reasons why you felt the driver was responsible? If you just sit with it, just explore it. And me as a clinician, what we do is we help our clients identify more factors that they may not be thinking about. Because our goal is not to help our client completely get rid of the guilt. The goal is to help our clients to slowly chip away at the guilt each session. And so that's all we're doing, is just slowly chipping away at the guilt. And we began to talk about other factors. So the other driver was drinking. So alcohol played a role in this as well. And so we talked about alcohol and how that can impact people's driving skills. And we were able to do another one. And so as you see, his level of responsibility shrunk quite a bit. And now alcohol is present. And the driver, his slot is quite a bit bigger as well. So again, it's about slowly chipping away. Again, this is TFCBT skill, responsibility pie chart. Another variation of this is percentages. So we have our client to write down all the factors that played a role in the loss. And then we have them put a percentage next to it, but the percentage has to equal 100. It cannot go over 100. So that's another way of doing it as well. So next was the family sculpting. I'm not sure how many of you guys do family work, but family sculpting can be a very helpful one. So basically what we do is we have our clients to choose a sculptor, and it's their choice who they want to be the sculptor. And so the sculptor will put people in physical positions and we process with them. How is that for you? And then we do a de-rolling process. The way that looks is, so there's a family of 4, and I asked the little one, describe to me, or put your family in positions, how has life been since grandma has died? And the little one will put them in whatever position that they choose. And then I'll talk with each of the people in the family, each of the family members. What does it feel like to be in this position? How does it feel for you to be in this position? And to process with them. Your little one is saying this is, from their perspective, how life looks now that grandma's not here. How does this make you feel? And then once everyone has processed, then we physically come out of those positions and we talk about how is life going to look differently moving forward. And so this will be very helpful in families learning more about each other, and us as clinicians being able to help families to process the loss that they've experienced as well. And then love after loss illustration. That's what the picture is to the right. This is one I did with the little one, and her mom had died of cancer, and a little bit later, her dad ended up remarrying. And she had this really deep, intense fear that mom was going to get replaced. And so we did this activity together. So as you look at this picture, you'll notice that there's this initial red heart. That's where we started out at, is this initial red heart. And so inside, you have different things, different people that she loves. Mom, as you can see, is really large and at the top. And as time has gone on, she's added to this heart. So I explained to her that whenever somebody has a place in your heart, that's their spot. No one can come and take it away. No one can make it shrink. That is their spot, and that will always be their spot. And what we can do with this heart is we can add more people to this heart. And that's exactly what we did. As you can see, we added more people to the heart as time went on. And so again, this could be a really good resource for little ones who may be having new family members join or experiencing a loss and feeling that they may forget the person or not love the person anymore. So again, that's love after loss illustration. And this is another one that I really enjoy. Again, metaphors and analogies, they can go a long way with clients. I intentionally put this picture in here because sometimes I have a client come in and share that they feel that they're all the way back at the beginning. And they just feel like they're never going to ever stop grieving. And they're all the way back at the beginning. And I normalize that for them. And I share with them that, yeah, you probably will grieve the rest of your life. Losing loved ones can be very challenging. And sometimes the holidays can be very triggering. Family reunions can be triggering. Different events can be triggering. So you might be grieving for many, many years to come. It's very true. But I'm wondering if we really are back at the beginning. I wonder if it's kind of more like a mountain. Mountain have different crevices. I'm wondering if we're actually in a crevice. And so I'll show them this picture of a mountain and I'll have them, I want you to circle where you truly think you are in your healing journey. And I have yet to have a client put themselves all the way back in the beginning because there's so many tools that they have. There's so many things that they're more aware of. And so they realize, I'm actually not at the very beginning. I probably am in a crevice. I've gone back a little bit. And so again, metaphors and analogies go a long way. Now there's a broken glass. I've had several clients come in saying, I feel like my life is just broken. It's just like broken glass. Can be put back together? And I go along with that same language. I hear what you're saying. Life is like a broken glass. But I'm wondering just for the next few minutes, if we can maybe pick up one or two pieces of that broken glass. And as time goes on, we create something new, something different. It won't be the same, but I'm wondering if it could be just as meaningful or just as beautiful. So it's very important to use your language. When I first started out in the field, I was working in Oklahoma. In Oklahoma, there's Tornado Alley. And so I had quite a few clients come in. It feels like a tornado just came through my life. And it's just, everything's just so devastated. And it's just, I don't even know where to start. I don't know where to begin. And it's about normalizing. I hear what you're saying. I understand you feel like a tornado's come through your life. I'm wondering if just for this moment, if we can pick up maybe one or two pieces and put it on a shelf somewhere. Just one or two. That's all. And so again, it's about using their language. And then the next is journaling. There's many different types of journaling. So it's about finding the best fit for your clients. There's thankfulness journaling, future or goal-oriented journaling. There's processing, which is what most people do. This is what happened today. This is what I thought. This is what I felt. This is what I said. So most people do processing. And accomplishment journaling are the things that they like about themselves. Go a long way as well. Then there's directed journaling. It's where we as clinicians will give a specific homework assignment on what to journal about. And these are just a few examples of different topics related to grief that we can have our clients do. So it could be a homework assignment, or it could be something that they do in session. Maybe the first 10 minutes of session, they do some journaling, and then we talk about it. So it really is just depending on your client and what you think is the best fit for them. And of course, you can always change these questions as well. And the grief monitoring diary, there's many variations to this. So again, it's about you finding the right fit for you and your client. But basically what it does, it helps us as clinicians to be able to monitor how they're doing in the grieving process, and also helps our clients to recognize how they're doing. And so the way it works is we'll have our clients write down at the top. You can type this up, have them write it. It's up to you. But have them to identify their triggers. So they write down their trigger. And then we will have them to rate, remember, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 just a little bit, 10 extremely intense. So you have them to rate it. And then we have them to identify what coping skill they used. And then we have them to rate their emotion again. How did you feel after you did your coping skill? And so again, that helps us to be able to identify what coping skills are working. And it also helps us to identify what are the go-to coping skills as well. So of course, this would be after they experienced something. So let's say a client was driving down the road and they began to cry. They pulled over and they did their deep breathing and they looked around their space. So after they get home, that's when we have them to fill out the grief monitoring diary. Not at that moment after the fact. They think back on a scale of 1 to 10, how intense was my crying? It was at a 10. After doing coping skills on a scale of 1 to 10, it was probably at a 4. So again, they aren't doing it there in the moment. It's usually afterwards. They're thinking about how do I handle that situation. And so again, other variations, there's one clinician I was working with, they put a time on it. So they had another column. So the person just kind of thought back of how long was I crying for? How long did I feel angry? How long did I feel anxious? I felt anxious for 30 minutes. And so as sessions went on, that 30 minutes went to 15, the 15 went to 10, 10 went to 5, 5 went to just a few moments. I felt anxious. And so that's another column that you can add. So again, it's about you and your clients working together to figure out what columns, what type of information do you want to learn when it comes to the healing process. And then the life imprint, this is a fun one I like to do with my little ones. And so I have them pretend that they are a journalist and they are going to interview their family members, their remaining parents, their aunts, uncles, grandparents, and they're going to interview them and they're going to come back and report to me what they found. And so this here are some questions. Of course, you can change them. But this here are a few questions that they can ask. My dad died and I found out that I have hand gestures just like him. And I found out that I talk just like him. I find out that I eat my cereal the way he eats his cereal. So it's just a fun way of children learning about their parent who's died and the parent who maybe they didn't have a close relationship with because maybe they died when the child was at a young age. It also starts that conversation with family members to remember those good times about the little one, about the person who's died as well. So again, that's a life imprint. And so next one is about connection. I know we talked about that a little bit earlier, but connection can go a long way in the healing process. And there's the memorial across a poem. So basically we have our client to write down the person's name and each letter of that person's name represents a word that describes the person. And then there's the memory box, kind of what it sounds like. We have our clients to put in pictures, stories in a memory box. This can go really well with little ones as well, because they may not have as many memories about their parents. So being able to have a memory box that they can go to can be very helpful as well. And this is one I did, the memorial across the poem I did for my granddad. His name was Sammy Joe. Again, other ways of staying connected with people is through telling stories. Family recipes can go a long way as well. Painting, a lot of different letters to write. I love you letter. I'm thankful for letter as well. And legacies. How many of you guys have gone to a hospital and seen a ward named after someone? Or maybe gone to a park and saw a bench with somebody's name on it? Yeah. There's so many different ways of leaving someone's legacy. And not all of our clients can afford those type of things. So helping them to find other ways to leave a legacy, maybe how they live their life or how they treat people, maybe how that person's legacy can live on. So that's another way people can stay connected to their loved one. Linking objects, we already talked about that one. Planting a tree, doing something related to nature can go a long way as well when it comes to healing, because they're taking care of that plant. And the rituals, many cultures, many spiritual orientations have many different rituals. So have our clients to embrace those rituals as well. Photography can go a long way when it comes to our clients, especially the clients who might struggle with verbalizing their experience, verbalizing what they're experiencing on the inside. Photography can be a great way of doing that. But I do want to pause for a moment because talk therapy isn't a good fit for everyone. So I would encourage you guys to embrace other types of therapy as well. So for example, there's this girl I was working with many years ago, a teenage girl. I worked with her for 3 months And she said not one word to me during those first 3 months. And I would do art therapy with her. We would walk in. I said, "Do you want to talk today or do you want to do art therapy?" And she would just point at the art and we would do art therapy. And she wouldn't say not one word to me for the first 3 months. But I did notice her art changed. At the beginning, when she started, it was all dark, a lot of skulls, very morbid. And as time went on, I began to see some hearts. I saw some green. I began to see flowers. And so even though we weren't talking, there was healing happening. And then about 3 months in, I asked her the same thing I ask her every session. Do you want to talk? And do you want to do art therapy? And she said, "I want to talk today." I was like, "Okay." And she ended up becoming one of those clients who talked and talked and talked and talked. So much so that we would be leaving session and she's still talking. So she became one of those clients. Really adored her. She's an amazing person, a lot of growth. But sometimes that's what our clients need, is it maybe not talk therapy, but something different. So again, it's about meeting our clients where they're at. This is a book related to support. Support can go a long way, as we saw in the research in the previous slide, how sometimes our support systems can be just as helpful as therapy, sometimes even more helpful than therapy. And so this is a book by Megan Devine. She's a mental health therapist. Unfortunately, her husband died in an accident. But it inspired her to write this book about support systems, and how we in the Western society see grief as a problem versus an experience that can be supported. And so the name of the book is "It's Okay That You're Not Okay." I definitely encourage you guys to take a look at that. There's a lot of great information in there, and even verbiage that we can give to our clients on how to set healthy boundaries with their support system if their support system's not being healthy, or being unhealthy towards them as well.